Ready to dominate your opponents with some fun but also strong squads comps? Let's talk about 5 different types of squads comps and why they're so strong. What's poppin' everyone, it's your boy Levi, and the first type of squads comp we're going to look at is your standard spread. Standard spreads for squads comp typically have a tanky frontline character, a damage dealer, and someone to provide utility or support. An example of this comp is the Lennox Real comp we looked at in the duos video, but if you add in Elena to it. Lennox plays the front line, taking damage for her team and using her spells as CC. She can look to engage with Whip skill and peel enemies off of Rio with Whiplash. As for Rio, she's the damage dealer. Her job is to simply do damage. Keep yourself at range and try to fight with your Lennox in between you and your enemy. As for Elena's job, she provides the utility. Elena's freeze mechanic is very good in squads, being able to freeze multiple enemies in place. She can dive with Lennox to help slow and freeze enemies, but she can also play back with Rio, freezing enemies that might dive onto her. Her ult is also a huge burst of damage that's very likely to hit multiple enemies. Next up is your Protect the President comp. Protect the President is typically a single threat comp, meaning 2 people work to enable one character. That carry is then responsible for dealing all of the damage while the supports keep them alive. Example of this is Theodore, 11, and Isol. Theodore is a great choice for this comp, providing synergy for a melee or a range carry. He is able to speed them up with ultimate, whether it's to engage to peel or provide healing and stuns. 11 is able to peel with RW taunt if your carrier is getting dove, or can look to engage the same way. This comp makes for a deadly team fight and has the potential to pick up kills very quickly. When you're playing squads, it's always better to be on the bulkier side if you're not the main damage dealer. This is a comp I like to call Rags to Riches, featuring Mai and Piolo. Mai and Piolo are 2 characters known for being very oppressive when they jump on their target. Typically you'll pair this duo with a long range carry, and it's all about making space for them. On Mai, hang near your carry at the start of the fight. On the chance that your teammate is out of position, or gets engaged on, you can pull them to safety with your ult. You can also look for picks with whip skill. You're sensing a theme here, right? With whip skill, have Piolo dance around the enemy team, mitigating as much damage as possible, and using his AoE abilities to cause disruptions. Try to buy as much time as possible for your carry to free hit. Maybe you don't want an overpowered comp. Maybe you just want to have some fun with the boys on squads night, but you still want a comp that'll do decent. I have for you Dancing Kings. This comp features Hart, Magnus, and Johann, but feel free to sub out Johann for Shukai if you want. Hart fits in as the carry for this comp. You want to try and get as much damage off as you can, and if you get jumped on, hit that ult panic button. The fun part about this comp is that Magnus's spin and Johann's ultimate both make them unstoppable, which I guess kind of defeats the purpose of calling this Dancing Kings, but I digress. With the enemy stuck dancing, heal your team back up to full, or spin on top of them for free damage. Another fun interaction is if you're playing Magnus, you can bike into the Hart ult to line up a huge motorcycle accident. And finally, for all of y'all that don't have a squads team to queue up with, I recommend playing Shukai. Shukai is one of, if not the best character to queue up with if you're playing solo. Nothing like having a food truck on your team. Be sure to make food and drink for your team in the early game and then group up with them to provide a front line. Build a little more tankier than your typical chef build and try to get your ult spread on as much enemies as possible. I hope these recommendations help you have a good time in squads. If you're watching this video on the day it comes out, it's squads night tonight. Hope to see y'all trying some of these comps out. Don't forget to experiment with different characters to fit these same formulas to figure out what works best for your playstyle. If you like this video, I've got more like it. Click or tap the screen now to be taken to a video where I talk about the 5 strongest duo pairings in Eternal Return.